So this seems to be working. I'm seeming to be having some weird issues where depending on certain keys I type, it crashes my streaming software, and I don't know what is going on. But we're streaming anyway, so we'll see how it goes. If it crashes, I'll try and keep an eye on the streaming data to see what happens. So keep me in check. This hopefully will be a fun one, but this could all crash at some point. So because a lot of this involves typing, and when I type certain keys, I don't know what the key is, it seems to kill it. Yeah, so that killed it. Yeah, so that killed it. Yeah, so that killed it. Okay, but it's still streaming, which is weird. So maybe if I just get it. If I get it into the thing, I'm gonna hit record as well. And we can see we are streaming. So like type what I think seems to be K, seems to kill it, but I'm still connected. Still connected to the stream. Kill it, but I'm still connected. I'm still connected to the stream. You're going to get an echo in a minute as well. Okay, so we're looking well, we're looking well. So yeah, fuck it. I think we're gonna kick off with this. I can't stop or change the view. So yeah, let's go for it. You should all be seeing my Twitter right now. Yeah, it's still going, so that's weird. So yeah, Streamlabs has died. I don't know why, but we'll figure out what's going on there. Yeah, I'm still live, working away. I say hey everyone, but there's like never someone. There's never a person there to say hello to. But yeah, this is recording anyway, so fuck it, let's get going. So actually I'll pull up. This is something I built recently and I wanted to see if I could build it again on the stream. So I'm doing a Zoom quiz. Get some wine ASMR. Here we go. So I built a quiz app recently because I'm hosting a team-based quiz night for Christmas because we're all locked down. We can't see each other. Zooms are fun when we're just kind of talking and having a drink, but then it gets a little bit boring. You want to kind of get the the juices flowing, that kind of thing. So I did a grip quiz with a bunch of friends a while back, and I used Kahoot to do the quiz. Now Kahoot worked really well. I like the idea that you play it on your phone and you can just. Now the only thing annoying me is you had to stream a screen on the Zoom so people can see the question and they only see the answers. Kahoot was great. Their pricing model is insane. Like yeah, fuck it. Like you need to pay for software and that kind of shit. But it was like $300 to do more than 20 people. Now that was for a year. And it felt more like it was for an educational plan than a bunch of friends playing a quiz on Steam. So I was able to get a free trial, play about it, and get that working. So then I went ahead and built my kind of own version, taking inspirations from Jackbox, TV, and Kahoot. So we're gonna rebuild that. We're gonna go mobile friendly because the idea here is that we're gonna have. See if I can draw this out in a Scala draw. Test. So we're going to have the idea of one person on their phone. There will be the admin, and keep on. If you see me looking upside down, keep on checking to make sure the stream hasn't died, because I can't control it now that it's running. So we have one person who's the admin, and they kind of like start the game, and then we have a bunch of clients. Probably zoom out a little bit here. We have a bunch of clients, and they're all kind of interconnected. I don't know how to get an R with double ends. One here. But yeah, so they're all feeding off this client, or feeding off this admin. Technically yes, but technically not. So like the one person, so this is the client, so we can get rid of all this. Make my phone on vibrate. Yeah, so we have like an admin and multiple clients, and they're all playing the game together. The admin has like, you know, controls, maybe they like change questions, toggle scoreboard, that kind of thing. And the clients get the question, and they get the ability to answer on their phone. So the way that I thought about doing this, because I wanted it all to happen in real time, that they could work with this, is to use Firebase as like a database system for this. So Firebase is a real-time database, and it's free. So I've already created a database here, but we could, you know, potentially go in and say, all right, add a new project, test for stream. Hit continue, hit continue. I'm going to select an account. It's going to go through, it's going to provision the database and all the other stuff that we're not actually going to use. We're only going to use the real-time database. And it's going slower than it did before. Well, that's working. I'll make sure I have everything pulled up. Yep. So go through, continue, your project is ready. So we get like an empty setup. We can go into our real-time database. Now there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, so, you know, shout if you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? For anyone joining along, so we're building like a quizzing app, but we first need to have a database that all these clients can talk to. So realistically, the admin is also here, and they're listening to this connection, and it's all talking to our real-time DB. And our DB is going to be this Firebase DB. So you can come in here, you can create a database, and then let's see, you can set permissions. Annoyingly, it doesn't let you edit here. Like starting off is like you can't write date whatsoever, and then you can write date for the next month or whatever. That's kind of annoying. I wish you could just edit it to say always write. Like this is just a dummy test project that I'm doing, and then you can add data in here, do what you need to do. So I've already set up a quiz stream database that has an attribute called current, and this is just the test reading and writing from that database. And then I've also set up our basic create React app with a connection to Firebase to talk to that to see data. So we can see current is 2. If I change current to 1, go back here, current is now 1. So this is reading and writing through a WebSocket directly to that database for us, and this is all handled by the Firebase npm library for us. So let's take a look at the code that is provided. So as I said earlier, this is a create React app. I haven't done much to it yet. The only thing I've done is I've installed Firebase, and I've put in a Firebase config, which I won't show because it has the API keys for the project. And then we have this thing called a Firebase instance. So this is like just initializing our Firebase application so we can talk to the parts of the Firebase product that we want. In our case, we're only dealing with the real-time database, but this could be their authentication API and their serverless functions and all this kind of stuff. Happy drunkenness, Mr. Shaw. So kind of verify that this works. We can then import. So can I jump into presenter mode? I always forget something whenever I'm doing these streams. Yeah, so we import our Firebase instance, which I just shown, and then using just create React, or so using React state, I like create a state variable with a null value on the effect that runs once. So this will be like our, component did mount replacement. We create a reference to the bit of the data we want out of our database. So we can't just query the database straight up. We need to query parts of the database, and this could be useful for targeting specific parts of the database. And then we can listen for events on this. So we're going to say the event type that we want to listen to is value. And I think you can do different things. Like you can do a change. So you can say if a bit of data is changed, do something, which could be a really good reactive, programming style of on things changing. You don't really care what they were changed to, but you care that they were changed. You get a snapshot of what your data is, so we can grab the value of that snapshot and then we can set it in our data. So what if we want to then go the opposite way? So we want to actually send data up. So let's stick in a button to test this out. And we can say update. We want to do on click. So we need to be able to update this, and I forgot to check how that works. So I'm going to drop out of full screen here. So let's figure out how that works. So Firebase npm, because I pulled in the Firebase library, so I should be able to get the Firebase npm. So make sure everything's still going. Yep. So we jump in the Firebase. Real-time database is where we care about. Going to read and write data. Today's wine is not bad. Bit of a tart note at the end. I went for something different. I'm using a Malbec fan, but the Malbecs I've been getting have been really making me sick. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon of value instead of the cheap stuff. It is Christmas, and this is the last stream before Christmas because I'm moving home, bought a home, so we're moving home, and then there's no way fucking hell I'm doing a stream during that, and then Christmas time, and then I'll come back in the new year, hopefully with a new setup. So we can kind of see here, right, we want to write basic write operations called set, and then passing the data that we want to set, and this looks familiar, getting a ref. So let's copy past of that, and let's go in here. So we can say firebase.database ref. In our case, the ref is going to be /current because we want to write the new value of /current. We don't need this user ID bit, although that will come in handy later. So then we can say data +1. So that should take, not data, state +1. So that should bump that number up by 1 every time. So let's jump back to our Create React app. So we've got this here. Click. So it looks good from here, but let's check our database. My voice is going. Yeah, so now we're that says 2. Let's just say 5. You can see it's actually updating in real time here. So now we're able to read and write from this database with minimal effort. So now onto the actual meat of this thing. So as I was saying at the very beginning, you want to do that Zoom quiz. You don't want people having to write down pieces of paper and show it to a camera, or message you somehow, or pay for some sort of quiz and apps. Let's build a quiz that you could do with your friends or family or your co-workers or your team completely over Zoom without having to worry about people messing things up. Like, this should be a foolproof system. So first things first is we're gonna go in and make some style changes because it's Christmas. So maybe not app. We're gonna stick with index. So we're gonna say background red. Let's see how this works. If it works. Why don't you update? Body, background red. Oh, it's been overwritten somewhere. So I'm going to get rid of some of the guff that comes with Create React App because I don't need or care about too much of it. How the fuck did I open two things? So we don't need to report vitals because I don't really know what they do and I don't care about them. So we can get rid of that file. We don't need setup tests. We don't need the React logo. We can go into app. And we're going to get rid of the logo import. And we're going to get rid of the app CSS because I want to just do all the CSS in one file, make it easier to understand. So now there's no such. Oh, how are you still getting that fucking color? Okay, so now, yeah, so now it's red and looks terrible, but we'll get there. So Google Fonts, and we're going to grab a Christmas font. You can see I've been typing some of these things before. Yep, this is going to be perfect. So we want the regular and we want the bold, and we're going to do the CSS import because it makes it easier. Instead of having to go and edit the index template right away, we can import this into our main CSS file. So that's imported the font for us. I've never written a font family CSS attribute from scratch before, and I don't think I ever will at this point. So that font's a bit jarring. I don't want this used everywhere. So I'm going to save this for our H1. And then color is going to be white because red and white Christmas. We don't need any code styles because we're not doing code. And then let's go back to our app. We don't need any of these class names yet because we're not doing anything with this. So we're going to do H1 and we're going to say, actually, drunk Christmas quiz. And again, everyone in the chat, welcome along. You're going to be here to help me whenever I fuck shit up and get lost. I'm going to fire in a section here to hold some of this buttons and data. Drunk Christmas quiz, so we're looking well. And let's go back to what our app looks like. Drunk Christmas quiz. I think we could probably bump up the font size for that. So I managed to pull in the bold and the regular. Corona. So let's give this font weight of bold. See how this looks. We're looking better. So I'm a stickler for this. Anytime I build something, I always want to like center everything. So we have this main div. That is our app. I move this root ID. I'm going to stick on body, and we're going to go. Bump this up so you can see what's going on. So we're going to go body, display flex, and then we want the flex direction to be row, no column. And then this is where my lack of CSS knowledge kicks in because I just try every option under the sun until I figure out what's going on. So we can say align items, maybe center. Okay, that worked. And justify content center, not doing anything. What about align content center? Okay, that's not doing anything. So I think that'll do us for now. We don't need to vertically align this because we'll be filling it out with content. So let's stick that on our body. I want to maybe bump up the font size of this too. So let's grab this, inspect, and we're going to go font size 30. That was gonna, really thought that was going to be bigger. 50, 60. Ooh, we're gonna have content in this afterwards, so we're going to go maybe 60 and then text align center. So now we're getting somewhere. If nothing, it'll look like it should do something. No, Pro CSS Hero. Yeah, well, we're a lot away from the truth on that one. But thank you anyway. Strong wine. If I actually enjoyed mulled wine, it would be something I could drink during this kind of stuff. But I don't like cinnamon and spices and all that shit. So we have our drunk Christmas quiz. Text shows up. If with anything else we're going to do, we're going to stick in some snowflakes, because if this all goes tits up, at least we have some sort of animation with snowflakes. So I found this CSS snowflakes. We're going to pull this in. So copy past the styles in. What the hell? Why won't it let me copy it in? Oh, fucking you. You're raw. So we'll grab this CSS, drop it in here, and we'll drop this into the main app. Just use rum instead of cinnamon. Ooh. Rum and wine. I didn't think that would be a combination that would work together, but I will definitely be trying it. So we grab that HTML and we're going to fire it in here, because I don't really care about this file too much. So let's see what happens after that. We should have a yeah, okay, so we've got snowflakes coming down. If all else fails, we have this, but I think we can do better. So the first thing we need is for our user to be able to, like whenever they hit the app, type in their name, and then they've joined the game. So we need like a username component, and we're actually going to create files. Usually I do everything in one file, but we're going to create some files. So we're going to say we need React component. So I have component templates. So this is going to be player, let's say new player, and comp name is going to be new player. So all this does is just creates like a template of file for me that I can work with. So the idea is we want to have an input and a button for them to join. So we're gonna say create a div. For now we'll give it a class name of new player. New player, and then in here it's going to be an input and a button with join. So we need to handle the value for it, because the input is going to be what they're using to type in their name and then join the game. Kind of rhymed a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. So again, let's create some state. So we're going to say name and set name equals new react.use state. So we want to create a bit of React state to hold this, default it to 0 because they haven't entered their name yet. And then while we're here and we're defaulting that to 0, we don't want them to click the join button until they've entered their name. So we're going to say disabled equals name equals empty string. So their name's an empty string, join is disabled. We pass the value of name, and we can say on change. So whenever this input changes, we want to grab the newest value from the input and set that with the name value. So this is a function that takes an event, and then we're going to say set name to be event.target.name, and that'll give value. Being caught up in saying name too many times. And this is interesting. So this is complaining about event. What's it complaining about? Oh, because I spelled it wrong. But there is a case where event is actually a global variable in JavaScript. So if you this would still work in raw JavaScript, but would fail in the likes of React and Angular because event exists as a globally aware variable in JavaScript, and is the global event, and 90% of the times it'll work in your use case, but it might not always be the event that you're targeting. So we've created this component that has an input, it has a button with join. If they haven't typed the name in, join is disabled. So now we want to bring this into our main app, so we can keep this, but I'm going to create another section, and then we're going to say whatever I called that component, new player. It'll auto import for us, and then let's jump back to our app. So we know we're seeing an input, type in Chris, we get join. I want this all to be, so this is we're gonna spin display flex direction column line items, enter, and then drag all them out. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. I need to do that on the root as well. So we'll do a bit of CSS cleanup while I'm at it. Jump back to our app. This doesn't need to be a div, this can be a fragment. Let's see what this does now. Yeah, okay, we're getting more line center, I like it. So we can type in our name, and it'll enable our button. Our button doesn't do anything as of yet. Let's add a little bit of style to this while we can. And again, in my trusty old fashion, I fire on random styles until it works. So this will only show if they haven't joined. So we can make this big. So we can say height 100 pixel. Maybe not 100, we'll do 50. Width. I'm trying to think about an average phone screen size. That's why I'm on a small phone screen size at the minute, because it'll cater for everyone. I guess we can go 300. Yep. And then I'm going to do border dash radius, curve those borders. Maybe 25. Maybe not do a percentage. Maybe just do 50 pixels. Okay, let's do 25 pixels. That'll do. And then we want some internal padding. And font size. FONT size. Now, based on the title, the H1 was 60. I think we could go for 30 here. Yeah, worked out perfect. So let's grab these and then create a style for this. So this is going to be in our new player. So we'll give this a class name. Say class name is new player Actually, let's not, because we can use better CSS selectors. We already have this new player class. So if we go back to our index styles, we can do new dash player. Yep, new dash player. And then after that, we can do input. So we can grab the input element underneath that. We know there's only one, so we don't need to think about selecting multiple. Flick back, refresh. It's kept our style. So we need to do something for button too. So this inspector button, and it's going to be height probably 50 pixels again. Let's get this 100. It doesn't need to look perfect. Fuck it. Like we'll do the bare minimum. So I want to get to the actual functional things too. So again, new player button, because we can grab that button element, give it a height, and we're good to go. Button becomes enabled, but doesn't do anything yet. So let's think about, right, whenever they join, we need to we need to set them up somehow to be a new player in this game. So when I was thinking about this before and like how I could structure this out, I don't necessarily want the I don't want the client to have to be aware of how many points it scored, what question it's already played. I want a lot of this to be handled through this remote database, so the admin eventually can come in and change a lot of this stuff. So at the minute we have current. I've kind of put in current already because current is going to be the current question. So I'm going to bump this back to 0 because that's going to be the 0 index of our questions. And then I think we can do new, so we can say players. Now, interesting thing about Firebase's real-time database is it's all like object style storage. They don't really have the concept of a list or like an array or any of that kind of thing. If you want those, you have to create an object where, if say you had an array of people, they're either like the person's ID or the person's name would be the key in the object, and then the value would be the person. So we do players. Add. No, how do we do this? Players, and then the value is going to be, let's delete that. So I need to check how I did this in the last one. You players, and then you were able to add underneath that. So how do we add nested attributes? It takes a little second to load, so we can click add here and we can say, we do players and then null. Nope. Players. We do empty object. Doesn't like that either. How the fuck do you add a new attribute? Slash players. Right, we got players and the value, say empty. Add that. If I want to edit this value, if I want to make this an object, as you can see, the UI and this is not intuitive enough. Oh, I jump in the players and then I hit null. Oh, okay, so I can, if I click, okay, so that's moving. Oh shit. So I lost players. Current, I can add the current value. So add this, players. It won't let me add it with an empty value. Players, test, add. And if I click on players, Can I modify this? Add more players. How did I do that in my last one? There's a way to set that up. This is very exciting, obviously. If you have any questions, fire them in the chat and I will try and keep track of them all. Players. How do I make you an object? Maybe I just have to say, write the actual object notation. So test. Open object braces, score with one S. This is going to stringify it. You sneaky little bastard. Let's see if I can import a JSON. So I need to create a JSON file first. Let's create one. So I'm going to create an empty object. So with a player of the name test, and they have a score which is equal to 0. So I'm going to save that file and we're going to browse to import that. See if this will let us do it. Invalid JSON file. No, it wasn't valid JSON, that's why. Because you need quotes around your attribute names. Booleans I think are fine. So let's save that and then try and import it again. Okay, so right, this is looking a little bit more structured than we need. So we go to the root. Yeah, so we have players with a player of the name test and they have a score of 0. So that took longer than it should have. But now that we've got that set up, we know that we can read and write from this anyway. So we want to say, whenever the user enters a name, create a new player with a default score of 0. I think that's all we need to track. They only need to keep track of their score, which is a cumulative total. Oh, that was a lot to talk about. So we want to do this whenever they add their name. So let's do this. So we jump back to our index. We can see we do Firebase set to set a new value and on the current path, which we can use. So let's first import Firebase. Import Firebase. And it's not from Firebase. It's going to be Firebase instance, and then let's grab the code here and stick this on our on click. So we can say on click, not change, on click, create a new function. And so we don't want to set the current because the current is going to be the currently running question. We want to add them as a new player. So in here, what we can say is players and then do a slash, I think, because we're targeting that nested thing. But we need to get the name. So we're going to turn this into a templated string. and we're going to say name. Now, first thing, this will work fine. What if they type in, like, you know, the name of Donald Trump? There's a space. I don't know how Firebase is going to handle it. I want to be in control of how we handle that. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to trim the string, get rid of white space in the area in case they've, you know, fat finger typed on a mobile phone. Then we're going to do, not repeat, replace. We're going to do replace, and we're going to replace any space with a dash. Now we've lost off the screen, so let's bring this down again. So we've got the name, we've trimmed all the white space off it, then we've replaced any space with a dash, and we're targeting that. And then we want to set this to that object that we had done for the test one. So we're going to say score equals 0. I think set will add new values for us. So let's refresh this. And we're going to say drunk Chris, testing our white space comparison, do a little couple of spaces at the end. Don't like that. Bullet point, why do phones do a bullet point? So we click join. Now nothing's going to happen here. But we can see now drunk Chris exists. What happens if I click this again? Okay, doesn't duplicate it, so we're able to add new players. If I go, let's say, buzzed Chris for the American folk out there, we now have a buzzed Chris that was just added. So now we can create new players. So I guess whenever we create a new player, we want to not show this. So I guess we can pass in a prop of on add player function that can tell the main app that they've added themselves. So we can say on add player, and let's give it the name. So we want this name, so we're going to save this to a variable. So we'll say processed name equals that trimmed down name. So we can replace this here. And we can pass it the on callback. So whenever a player's added, so we need to do something with that name at the minute, or we need to do something with the name. Let me get it. Dot log. No, I want to console log it. So we console log dot name. So let's see. Open up our console, clear this. Yeah, so it's logging out the name. So we're able to add that in. So this now create a bit of state for our name, so we can say name and set name. It's going to be null by default, and we can then say set name with name, and then as well, because now we know if we'll have the name, we can say not name. So only render new player when they haven't entered their name. So let's see how this works. So drunk Chris. So now they've started the process of the game. And we want to probably display their name. So we're going to do h3 and we're going to say name dot. So now we need to go the opposite because the name is going to be dashed So we need to say replace any dashes. Hopefully they don't have a dash in their actual name, or this code will ruin their name for you. Replace dashes with spaces. So give us a refresh. Ooh, errors. Oh, because name is null by default. I hate doing a lot of conditionals, but we're going to have to. Hello there, Mr. McDowell. Thank you for joining. So I guess we're going to say name and that. That'll handle it for us. So if you're just joining, we're building a Christmas quiz app that you can play with your co-workers or friends over Zoom. So enter our name. We want to join the quiz. John Chris. So it's not obvious, but I'm going to stick a name there anyway. Escape with space. Oh, no, that's percentage 20 stuff. Oh yes, yeah, okay. I could URL encode the name, but I don't know how it would get stored in the like in a Firebase database. So I wonder if I refresh this and I take off the validation. So that's why we're replacing spaces with the dashes, because it's being stored in the Firebase database. So if I don't do that and just pass in name as is, give that a refresh, and I do test space and click join. How does Firebase can actually handle spaces and the URL encode them? Okay, so we don't really actually need that. Good call. And that can be just name. And then here we don't need to do any processing. Still need the conditional. If they don't have a name, we don't want to try and render a H3. So the ones that were there previously are going to have dashes, or maybe not. Balls Chris, Drunk Chris, Drunk Chris. Yeah, okay, there's going to be multiple versions of the same name. So we now have the ability to join the quiz, enter our name. One caveat though is if we've already entered it, we're potentially going to overwrite that setting. And I want to double check if it's quick. Just check for value first. Actually, it's going to be read and write. So we want to just fetch it out. We don't want to be listening to the data. We just want to be getting it. Yeah, this is where we want read once, which is going to be so yeah, this is going to be a promise that'll be able to allow us to fetch the data once. So we'll go into our new player. Main case sake is we're saying whenever they join, we create a new player for them and set the score to 0. Now that player exists already, so prime example, if I go in and let's go for Buzzed Chris, so I set his score to 500. So prime example, you're playing with your friends and someone's phone locks itself or Chrome closes and they need to join in again. They're going to type in their same name again. Hopefully they're going to type in the same name again and not building a whole system around that, but they want to be able to join again. So as long as they type in the same name again, they should be connected. Now if I do buzzed, is that buzzed dash Chris? Yeah, I'm going to do buzzed dash Chris and then click join. So I've joined in, but that's going to reset me to 0. So we need to check, does that user exist? And then let's grab the values from that user. And this is where a single read is going to be useful, because we don't want to be listening to events for this. We just want to do one fetch at a time. So what we can do here is fetch the value first. Let's do some new lines so we can read what we're doing. So we want to fetch if that player exists. So once grabbing the value, then doing a snapshot. So if value returns something, then they've already played with us before. Played with us sounds like a bad term for that. So in that case, we wanted to say set name to be name because they've already played. We're going to have to pass up the score as well. Well, I forgot the actual if statement. So if snapshot does value, then they've played with us already. So we can just say set their name, they're fine, let's go on. Else we want to then actually go off and create a new player instance for them. And we can get rid of this. Ooh, we can optimize this code because we're going to call set player twice. So let's say if we do something like if not, so if there wasn't a snapshot, set them, then always call set name no matter what. On add player name. I don't get you. Explain a bit more. So set name, set name. Oh, yeah, you're right. I get you now. I get you now. Yeah, it's not set name, it's on add player. So on add player, actually I'm going to change this to take a name and a score, because if they existed we would have the score. So it's going to be score, yeah, I think that's right. It's going to be that dot score or 0. Although it's going to be a dirty if statement. I don't have optional chaining in place. Let's check that example again. If I had optional chaining, I could do this in a better way. So if the value returns something, then the value dot username. So fuck, I guess I can go score equals. So if they have an existing player, then it's going to be player dot value dot score or 0, and then we can get rid of this. Am I spelling score correctly? I'm on variable type. What? Come on, score. What am I doing wrong? Score equals that. A semicolon? Really? No. What else am I missing? One-line conditionals. I've been writing them for 10 years and I still don't get it. Well, no, I do get it, but I still fuck them up every day. People who follow me on Twitter will detest it, will back me up in the fact that, like, there's so many times I will say like const react from react instead of import. Although I did remember see there was WesBoss suggested a really good kind of reverse import syntax, because a lot of times you'll do import and you're like, oh, I know what I need, but I don't know the full name of it. I need the IntelliSense, so then I'm going to do from React. Whereas you could, do something like import React, and then do like with and then the actual values that you wanted. I think that's an interesting way where the IntelliSense knows what you're important before, it knows where you're important from, so it can give you all the values that you possibly could be important. Yeah, exactly. Like Python. Python kind of, it's already thinking ahead of the syntax. Right, so we changed on add player to return the name and the score. So we're going to just change this to be player, and then instead of name, this is going to be player set player, and we want it to be null as well. So then, because we don't, the default is no player, so player, and then you update player to be player.name, and then we can say set player and player. So we can say name and then score be player dot score. Should be 0, but then we can test out our reloading logic. Name, where's name? Don't expect the use of name. App, line 25. So that's going to be checked for player again. Okay, so grab one that I know. So buzzed dash Chris. Dash Chris. Join. So I have a score of 0. Now if I was to set myself a score of 100. Now it doesn't automate in real time. Isn't a big worry because I'm not going to be modifying. We wouldn't be modifying the scores in the database without the user interacting with it. But if I refresh and then log in, almost like, I closed my phone, went to the toilet, lost my session, and then I'm joining in again. I've got my score. So we've been able to maintain the person's score. Right, that was a lot of code just to be able to get a player to start playing the game and keep them playing the game whenever they're in it. So the next bit is let's look at how we can render out the actual questions themselves. So when I was thinking about this in my head, I'm like, right, we want to be able to render our questions. I don't want to store the questions in the database. I want to store them as raw JSON, and then using the admin tools that we're going to build in a minute, we can navigate through the questions using the index of the question, and that takes us back to this current. So this current is our current question index. Index is started 0, so it's the 0 question. So that's create a question reading component, I guess. So again, create a component from a template. We're going to say file name is question reader. I don't know, I can't think of anything more original. Question reader. And from this, we want to be able to then start reading out the questions. So we already have something watching our current. Yeah, so we have our current, which is our state. So let's rename this to current question. Set current question. I guess null works. Let's make it 0. I'm gonna have to copy and paste a lot of shit all over the place. New player current. So it's gonna be current question. Let's listen to our current, set in our data. Yeah, this should all still work. State line 34. So it's going to be current question plus 1 to increment our question. So buzzed Chris. So we're in. So if I click update, we're updating our current question number, and that's updating in our database. If I take this to 100, it will update in our browser. So we have the talking back and forth. So we can use this for driving the steps through our questions. So let's bump this back to 0 and then build out like how our question component's going to work. So instead of here, we're going to render our question reader, and it'll need to take in what the current question is. So current, let's copy and paste this to make things quicker, even though it probably took me longer to navigate up to that. Be able to type it in. So we pulled in the current question, and we need to read in questions from somewhere. So we need to create a JSON file. So we'll say new file, questions.json. And I think storing them in a JSON format actually kind of works quite well, because we can do, a list for each question, a list for all the questions. And then a question is an object that has like title, options, and maybe an optional score. So if we like start off with like, so title, that's going to be, who is your daddy? A little bit of Kindergarten Cop. Fucking blanked on the movie. So here's your daddy, and then it's going to have options. God love WebStorm for automatically putting the quotes in for me. Options is going to be an array, and it's going to be caption, not captions, caption, and it's going to be Chris, and then value A. So then we can just replicate that. Now this is the one crux of this entire quiz system, is the tedious effort of actually writing out the questions, because you have to go and you have to think of a question, and then you have to like think of like 3 wrong answers as well as the right answer. Can you guarantee the order of an array? That is a brilliant question, actually. In JavaScript, I don't think the order is kept. Order. That's not going to give me the answer that I want either. I have a bunch of pre-canned questions. Did I do? No, I did array. So I think you can, as long as you're reading it straight in from that JSON file, the order will hold up. If you were sending it off through a server, then there's a potential to lose the order because the way it's encoded and then sent and then decoded, whereas this is reading from an actual straight up JSON file inside the project. I've never seen it lose order, but it is a good question. I always argue that, and it's maybe why Firebase uses an object style instead of an array style, because you guarantee order with an object because you're querying each key instead of an array where you're querying an index. So good shout. So right, we have, let's see, not Chris, and then Andy, and see Dave, since he's watching. Keys over indexes. Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I get it, but I hate having to turn an object. And I know there is libraries like Immutable.js and stuff where it'll handle it better for you, and I guess you can do like for in of. I'm really stuck on the old ways of just like iterating over an array. But a lot of the time, the data I work with, the order of it is already like kind of preset. So doing an object kind of style way, like, and the one thing I do like about the object, like the key approach, is the speed that you can query data. where if and like read and write and change data. Like if you're trying to change, say you have 1,000 rows in an array and you want to change one of the values in the middle, and you're going through and looking by ID, you're going to have to go the whole way through the array till you find that one by ID, modify it, maybe rewrite it into the array. Whereas if it was key based, then you're just querying that key, and it's so much more performant. So I totally get that. It seems to rarely come up in practical use unless I took something that was array based from an API and turned it to like a key object parent base and then work with it that way. But I always had to be converting back and forth. I'm curious what like the performance overheads are of turning a large array into an object and a large object into an array. I guess that leads more into like GraphQL kind of territory, because it's very query structured, schema based, and it fits a lot into that kind of stuff. So like, let's see, keys or indexes, indexi. Normalizer, that's the other one. Yeah, a lot of people I know who use Redux will use Normalizer to do a lot of that transition for them, and then it builds up on like an API that they can query. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely overkill for this app. Even a lot of stuff I'm thinking, like the re-login thing, is just to handle people who are stupid and don't know how to use a phone. Maybe that. No, actually, one thing I forgot to add in this. So, like, a question needs to have the title, the options, and it also needs to have the answer, because I don't want to have to store that anywhere else. I want that bundled. The beauty about that is, too, is it means we're not talking back and forth to the server lot. So we can say answer is going to be, in reality, A. Well, they're all A's as well. Fuck, that should be B. D. Go for C for this answer, since Mr. McDowell's watching along in Fairfax Team, all the way out in Australia. And then for keys and indexes, yeah, no, maybe. What? What's going to be the answer? So, answer is going to be D, which I need to fix. B, fuck me, Jesus Christ, the wine's kicking in. I did mention on Twitter like this was going to be the drunkier version of it, because it lasts for like 3 or 4 weeks at this point. So our kind of basic schema is we have an array of objects. An object is a question. The question has a title, options, answer. The answer value is going to map to the value of one of the answers. So A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, D, C. So we have 2 questions in place. So now we actually need to do something with those. So we can import questions from questions. Now this is a good one actually for people who are watching along. What do you prefer? Do you prefer relative or what's the alternative? Imperative? No, I don't know. Relative imports or the other one. So like, say if we were a few directories down, you would do .. // .. I hate that approach. Whereas I prefer like setting in Webpack to tell like, no, this is like a source directory that has a lot of my content. So I can just do, import questions, and it knows question absolute. Yeah. Relative or absolute. So it knows like questions isn't like a module somewhere or anything, like it is, it's a file. Like I hate this .. / stuff, because you're screwed when you start moving files around. Although I kind of answered my own question when I asked that, but fire in the chat when you know. Right. So while I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna build out our questions UI. So we've got a div, and then we need to render out So first we say, because I know I'm going to balls this up at some point, we're going to say if, so actually const current, because I wanted to save it as a variable, it's going to be questions, current question. That really should be current question index, but we'll not put that in. You mean the absolute or the relative? The one with the dot dot slash I think is relative because you're saying where I am from. But having something that, like, if I configured Webpack to say, like, if I had a components directory, I could say, you know, import card from components slash card, instead of saying the alternative would be dot slash dot dot slash, you know, components. Like, in my eyes anyway, like, that's the good way, that's the bad way, because this restricts you to where you are based in that directory, and you're always having to think about climbing everything. Yeah, like set up Webpack, yeah, equals a bit of magic, but I get you. Yeah, like if you're a new dev, you don't know what's going on, but whenever I go to move that card file or move this file that I'm currently working in, I don't have to go off and rewrite every import and then have to stagger up and down the file structure. Like, I have the file structure open here, and I normally never do. Like, I don't look at the file structure of my code base. I search by file name and nothing else. Like, searching by the file is the only way I find things. I rarely ever like dig through the actual like the project structure, because I don't care where the files are. I just want to find the file. And that's the beauty of web, like, and you can tell WebStorm whether, you know, you have resource directories, so it can automatically import it instead of doing the dot dot slash for you. So we wired it up with, like, in my work project, like Webpack knows where they are, WebStorm knows where they are, and it just handles everything for me. Right, so back to this. So we have our current, which should be our current question. So if we don't have a current, so I've fucked up the index probably, we're going to return null. Else we're going to build this out. So we're going to do h3, because I don't know what semantic HTML looks like. We're going to go current dot title, and then we're going to do UL for an unordered list, and we're going to say current dot options dot map. So we're going to map over the options, and we then want to return a list item for each option, and it's going to be option dot caption, if I remember correctly. We're going to need an on click, because they're going to be clicking on this, so on click is going to do something. For now, console.log, the wine is truly kicking in. Console.log option.value, which should output the A, B, C, or D. And for my own namesake, I'm going to put that in here as well. So I'm going to say option.value. So I guess let's see what this does. Do I have the question reader? Yep, question reader is loaded in. So let's give this a refresh. No, I give on a refresh. No, pick something up there. Oh, so it rendered that list randomly when it shouldn't have. Keys. Yes, I need keys as well. So I don't want to render this when we don't have a player. So not Sorry, player. So only render questions whenever player's playing, and because React is React, we need keys. Oh, I'm not using. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna use the index because I don't like using the index as a key. I have a blog post. Go to dyslexic.developer.com and you can read about React keys. Key is going to be the value. So let's see. You can hear noises in the background. There's my wife and puppy running around upstairs, having a whale of a time. So we don't get our questions, which is strange. Question reader, current question. Fuck is Python? Did I do not player? Yeah, if there's a player and that. That doesn't matter, the new version of React's fine. If there's a player, render this. If current equals null, what have I got my current set to? Ah, okay, that's good. With the current set to 100. So, yeah. So we now have our questions appearing. So then we should be able to then select these. So we need to make these a little bit bigger and more selectable because I have fat fingers. I can't choose stuff like that. Height, we're gonna go 100 pixels, 50 pixels. Just like a border of 1 pixel solid white. Let's go 5 pixels, maybe 3. Styles don't really matter in this case, but fuck it, we're going forward. Display flex. Ooh. I want to vertically center it. Align items. Center. Padding 10. And that'll do. And then margin dash bottom 10 pixels. Yeah, so we'll stick these on our LIs. So let's go to our main Sass. This is all hacked together, so it doesn't matter. LI. Yeah. So console clear. If we click them, it tells us which one we clicked. So in this case, then we want to hide the question when we click it, stop them clicking it twice, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to need a bit of React state. So we're going to say const has has answered, and then set has answered. I'm starting to lose my voice already. Glad this is the last stream of the year. So we can say use state, not use effect, use state. Oop. I would normally name import these, but we're doing this quickly. So have they answered? No, they haven't answered yet. So whenever they click, and we also want to know if they're correct. Was right. These are terrible names. Don't use names like these. So we don't know if they were right or wrong yet. So let's say if option dot value equals option dot answer, option.answer, then they got it correct. Let's double check our JSON, make sure answer is spelled correctly. So if the value equaled the answer, then they got it correct. So we're going to say set was right. I guess we have to set it to that. I don't know why I'm doing an if statement. And then set has answer to be true. Then we can say if has answered. Yeah, so if has answered is true, and if was right, then they're going to return h1. You got it. Else h1 you suck. Okay. I know what we need to do next, but I want to get it wrong right before we get it. We get it right or wrong before we get it right again. So let's refresh the page. Get a new flow. Okay, so which was the right one for this? I can't remember. Okay, you suck. Now, if I update the next question. Oh, didn't look like that worked. Didn't refresh in time. Oh, no, it's the score. Then it's not navigate me on to the next question. So what we need here as well is we need to say React dot use effect. Nope. Use effect. And what I want to say is every time the current question, which is the index of the current question, which is named really badly, every time this changes, we want to reset those values because it's on a new question. So we're going to say set has answered to be false, but before I set that, I want to reset set was right to be null. So if we jump back in here, change this to 0. Use effect is called. Oh, I need to call before those if statements. So let's give us a refresh. Chris join. Okay, you suck, I got it wrong. Now we're still on 0, which is the first question. I may click update. So now we're on the next one. Keys or indexes. And I said, what? Oh, you suck. What did I say is the right answers? D. I just suck in general then. That's not right. ANSWER, ANSWER. Let's bring this back. Why is the noise? Option.value equals option.answer. Let's log this out to see what's going on. Okay, let's join again. And I'm pretty sure I set the answer to this to be C. Answer undefined. I know what I did. Stupid is not optional answer. It's gonna be current answer. Let's refresh this. Yep, you were on already. I didn't check. Buzz-Chris join. You got it right. Cool. And then I would do update, which is taking me on the next question. And then what? You got it right. Cool. Update, we don't see any questions. And what we can also do here too is, what if we want to have like a title screen for whenever we're waiting for everyone to join, kind of like Jackbox Party. So you could say, I don't want it to be called title. Title should have been called question. Let's call this, say waiting true. But I also want to have round titles. So round, it's going to be shit nobody knows, if that's right. And then we'll stick this in the middle of here too. Again, so we can handle all these different edge cases. So let's say, so if there isn't a current, and then we say if current dot waiting, we say return h1 to join, and we can say if there's a round title, you can say if it's round, then display display the round title itself. Okay, so let's bring this back to 0 and then start stepping forward. So what you could have is the first like item in your question array, buzzed Chris. The first item will always be like we're waiting for everyone to join. So it kind of has that feel like Jackbox Party, you know what's going on. And then, you know, this button here won't exist for the user, and then the admin, okay, round, shit nobody knows, first question, second round, second question. So now let's think about how do we build in an admin view, because we want the admin to be able to control this and allow the people to be able to play along. As well as actually we didn't do the thing of like if they actually did answer correctly. Let's do that. Const correct equals that. And similar to how we set their name in the new player, we're going to be setting the value in here. So now this obviously needs to be aware of the name. So we're going to have to take in the name as a prop. Names. And now score is going to be this. So we're also going to have to take in their score. Now we could take in player, but player is a very ambiguous prop name that might have more things to it. So we want to do score plus, and it's going to be say 200 by default for every question to get right. So now we need to jump back to our app, and this needs to take a name, which is going to be player.name, and then score, which is going to be player.score. So we're able to then go to our question reader. They got it correct, so if correct, we want to write to our database to update their score. And then say that they got it right or wrong, set the question. So let's drop us back to our 0 index. Closed Chris and took us to the wrong index, but we'll continue on. So I think it was what? Got it right. Was Chris now has 200. Don't know what I had before. Don't think that worked. Yeah, so we got the idea. Like, we're able to write to our database. You know, as they get it right, they can add more questions. So then let's think about, like, you know, we need someone to progress the question. We don't want the user seeing that kind of stuff. So let's jump into our app and let's get rid of this update button. I'm going to copy and paste that first. Well, grab the button actually. So let's create an admin component. New React component. And so we can wrap that button, and then we want to say, like, let's conditionally show that. So we can then say const is admin equals, and I think the easiest way to handle this, instead of having some sort of authentication or some sort of craziness to get into the admin view, let's just handle it by a query parameter. So if I went to the site with query parameter admin true, you can see I've been playing about with the whole admin thing before. If I then say window.location dot, I think it's search. Yeah. So we can grab that. So we can say basic hacky way of building an admin view. That equals that. They are an admin. So then we can say above everything else we want the admin controls is admin view render. So current question is not defined. Let's see, let's go in their normal app. Admin jazz. Okay, so we were passing that in. We need to read that out. Do we want to read that? I think it'd be best if we read it every time. So let's go to our new player to copy our read code. We can read that out. Go to our admin and say we want to read the current question every time, just in case we lose positioning. We can delete all this. We want to read the value of current. And get the value, get the snapshot, got our promise. Delete it instead of copying. So here we can say ref current set, and it's going to be snapshot.val +1. So let's refresh that. So we don't see our update control. If I go question mark admin equals true, we see our update control. So So I'll say admin Chris. We're on the 0. And then only the admin can update. So then if I duplicate this tab, new player, and join. So I see keys are indexed, keys are indexed. I answer this with what? You got it. I click update, disappears, disappears. So we've built that admin control that we can progress the quiz on while everyone else is answering. They can't double answer, they can't triple answer, they can't do whatever they want. So I think this is a good stopping point. We've built something. I have a privatized version of this with a shitload of questions that I've built up myself. It's private because I stupidly committed the Firebase API keys to it. Once I get the quiz out of the way this weekend, I'm going to be open sourcing the entire thing. And all you need to do is change the JSON format, which I'll document in the README. So you have this only supports round cards. It doesn't have the weighting, but you could just put a round card of weighting. And this is what powers the already hosted version of Fuzzy Netlify. So I can say Drone Chris. Now it's a little bit shittier looking. Wrong, you suck. And then by duplicating this, I can then do admin equals true, and then I get a previous and next, and I have the ability as well to do show board. And what this does is it shows a leaderboard, which I didn't cover in this. We're kind of coming to a close here. I can see there's still a few people hanging along in the stream. So any questions about what we were building tonight, web dev in general, suggestions for future streams, fire them in, let me know. I'm definitely going to be sharing more of this code. Over the coming weeks and stuff, so I want to get a few test runs of this. This is a bit more fully fledged version of it, but I'll do my ceremonial smoke to kind of close out the stream. You can either type in the chat or let me ramble on drunkenly, but I think I managed. I only ever manage half a bottle because I never get too far. I'm always too focused on the code, but I think this idea of having a real-time database, it works so well for that idea. Like if you've ever played Jackbox TV, it's this really good kind of system for playing games on your phone, using your phone as a controller and maybe having something on the TV. And then with the Zoom era, it works even better. But the one thing that always sucked was the question was on the TV and not on the phone. And having the question and everything on the phone, so you could play it while being on Zoom through the same phone as well, I think is a really good opportunity. Turn it A11Y compliant. Yeah, definitely. I think it's something as well because you have this multiple there's a list with selectable options, so that should be easily A11Y, A11Y is accessibility. So yeah, we could do that. I suck at semantic HTML. And making things properly, I'm terrible for using a div for everything, but making it really accessible, being able to tab through things, being able to screen read the questions could be really interesting. I think as part of that, I would love if you have suggestions, love to try out an actual screen reader on it or accessible tools to mimic someone with impaired mobility or impaired vision. I know you can. you can turn on certain color profiles. Oh. The Lynx browser. Oh, okay, yeah, that definitely is something to check out. Because I know there is like Chrome DevTools in the that can turn on, like, you can check your colors for how accessible. No, not view source. You can check colors to see how accessible they are. If I go to the body, I probably stuck the colors on it. There was something somewhere they did where they could give you like more compatible colors, so you could build a little bit tailored to like the color buying market, because like red on white isn't perfect, but it is Christmassy. Then the ultimate test is running through a Lighthouse score. So I think there's a lot with this, and what I kind of like about this is, like, if you were going to build this like yourself, like developers are watching this, you can build it yourself. You don't really need the source code. You can use it for a reference, but you have the ability to build out a quiz app that your granny could use, and being able to play a quiz on Zoom without the shit of having to use some third party where people have to create an account, sell their fucking personal data just to play like maybe a half-hour quiz with you and your friends. The main downside here is you have to write out the questions from scratch yourself. Like, I went through and built out a lot of questions, copy and paste it from sites, but having to go through it, and because it's JSON and we're rendering in React, it supports emojis. So I'm going to be doing a test run of this with my team and work to see how this goes. But being able to build out a complete quizzing app that works on any phone, and like this is quick. If I go into the network and throttle the network, so I have like a slow 3G, and I click update. Well, that was maybe the wrong one to update. So I bring that back to 0. Nope, not that. It's the only thing. Let's bring that back to 0. Like that's on a slow 3G connection, and it's still updated that quickly. Like, Firebase is very quick. So yeah, like as I said at the start, like I've lost this OBS streaming control, so I can't even stop the recording and stuff as I fly on the YouTube video, but gonna kill it there. The last stream for the year. I was saying at the start, we've bought a home, we're moving into a home. It's gonna be a nightmare. I'm not streaming from a kitchen table with the shitty setup that I already have. But I'm hoping to come back in the new year. I've bookmarked a shit ton of stuff. Actually, big shouts to Mr. Medolio, or however you pronounce it, Medolio. I call him McDole. I'm going to be looking into some AI machine learning. I was thinking, like, he recently got me onto one that's linked very well into your Google account. I want to feed it all my Google photos, and I want to like build out like a dog finding tool or something like that. They kind of build out some sort of like browser based AI machine learning where you can feed it like a bunch of images. I think the ultimate goal would be to feed it like an Instagram feed, and then pluck out objects, so like a tree, a mountain, water, that kind of thing, to kind of build up like metadata on all your files. But with that, I need to open up OBS and kill the stream. Thank you all for joining. It was really great having you watching along. I don't know if you're seeing the fact that it's installing a new version of OBS, or is that showing up on this? Yeah, okay. So we're getting a new version of OBS. Big love, Mr. Shaw. Thank you for watching. I'm hoping to see you stream more as well. I can't get out of the actual OBS stream.